to today's episode of Cuss N Discuss. I'm your host, Steve Kutie. Today's guests, Flynn Stewart and Ginger Duke. Hot topic for today is I'm looking for ideas to improve my ranch or place. Do you have any good ideas? Bob from Vermont. Who wants to touch it first?
Well, I will. Bob, I think if you're a horseman, which I assume you are, well, I think you need to put in a pipe fence with pipe rail on top and with what we call bull wire, which is V-mesh wire, and be sure to brace all your posts and set them in concrete and just make sure you do it right. Horses don't get cut on it. They don't, nothing, you know, some of it's been up at our place 30 years and it's still up and still good, and it'll outlast any other kind of fence you could possibly build. And do not put up PVC vinyl fence, because that won't work.
It looks good for a while.
It looks good for a while, yes.
Yeah.
But until one of the horses runs through it, or somebody in the car runs through it, or whatever. But and then it just and do not use a concrete fence either. We had one of those over here on Highway 59, and it was terrible.
It was. It's gone now.
Yeah, and it's gone now, thankfully.
Yeah. So, Ginger?
Oh man, that's a tough one for me because I'm
You're
a
a
visual
gypsy.
person.
Oh, because you're a gypsy and you don't know.
I'm a visual person, so I'd have to see a picture of your place so I could help you out.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to just throw stuff out there.
Well, let's make it in terms.
But I mean, that was really good. You know,
Right.
that was a great.
Well, but
great
here's
suggestion. You know,
But here's what you're gonna have to think, right? Is that not everybody has access to pipe like we do down here,
Yeah.
right? You know, I mean, if you're in
That is
Kentucky, you
correct.
gotta have board fence.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things, just talking about as far as improvements and talking about the fencing aspect of things, is that make sure when you do your fence, if you do a board fence or you do a wire fence, is that the fence and the wire goes on the side of the post that your stock is on, not on the outside of it.
On the inside.
Yes, exactly, right? Because there's too many of those that I've seen, and you know, those horses scratch their butt on it and they pop your rail off, you know, or they push on the fence and now your fence has a big bow in it, and you know, I mean, then they can get out that way. So always be sure to put it on the side of the stock, right? Because inside outside becomes kind of irrelevant, depends on what it is.
Yes.
But you know, that's the best thing to think about, right? I think curb appeal, right, is keep the barn and stalls good, but down here the big thing, right, nice entrances, right? Build a nice entrance and be sure that if you do build that nice entrance that you're going to make it so that you can get at least a semi through
yes,
it.
yes.
Okay,
That's right.
Because you know, when you build it
Amen
close
to
to the
that.
road and the gate's 12 foot, sometimes it's a bugger to get through.
That's
Now,
exactly right.
my gate sits off of the road. I have two 12-foot gates, so I have a 24-foot hole, and almost every semi has made it through. But there was one semi that made it through and hit my dumpster and my well house and knocked it over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just because you build it correctly doesn't mean the guy that shows up can drive. So sometimes your stuff is still in jeopardy.
Also now, if it's just a pasture fence, use smooth wire, not barbed wire, because smooth wire similar to barbed wire, but doesn't have barbs on it, and it's even cheaper than barbed wire. But that way your horses won't get cut on it, or somebody, you know, anything won't get cut on it.
No, I mean, I agree. Like when you look at resale value of things, you know, I know we've had discussions about this stuff, and you know, if you're going to improve, you got to do what, one, fits your budget, and two, fits the area that you're at, right? Because
That's right.
I mean, you can build a 100 by 200 covered arena, and if you only have one stall, it's nice for you, but it makes it hard to resell to somebody else
right.
because somebody who wants to have that size arena are going to need more than one stall.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
Or you have 50 stalls, but you have no covered arena.
That's
Then
right.
that makes it hard to sell. And, you know, again, it's a topic for another time on just all the things that you can do with real estate. And that's one of the topics that I would like to do with some realtors, right, on things. Because,
Sure.
you know, you put in a $200,000 covered arena, it only makes your property worth $200,000 more. It doesn't miraculously make it worth $500,000
Yeah.
more, right? You're doing it because it benefits you and what you're doing. Now, if you do fence and you do entrance, then those things increase your property value because you can put in pipe top rail,
Yeah.
or you can put in no climb horse fence, and that's gonna outweigh. You know, the cost is gonna be way less than what the value becomes, right? Because you have nice, safe fence
That's
that
right.
anybody can put anything in, and that has value to everyone.
Yeah.
As opposed to a nice big covered arena, right? And it's the same thing with houses. I mean, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have a big fancy house and you have a little barn, then that's all cool.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do it the other way,
Yeah.
right? And then sell it
Yes.
to anybody. You can sell it
Exactly.
to a horse person because, you know, I mean, there's tons of horse people that would take 100 stalls, 100 by 200 covered, and live in a travel trailer,
Yeah.
right? Or a
That's
single
right.
wide mobile home, right? I mean, that's cool. But it's very hard to do it the other way
Yeah.
and have a 5,000 square foot house in one stall and sell it to a horse person. You know, it's very, very tough because to put those improvements in, I mean, it just costs so much money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think be smart when you're upgrading your ranch. Have a layout in mind. Like I know when we did ours, I mean, we had the barn, and then you know we kind of knew where the house was at that time. But I knew, okay, I want to do a covered arena, and I want to do a riding arena, and I want to do a trail course, and I want to do these things with a commodities barn, and you have to make sure that you can get the semis in and out,
Yeah.
right? That they can back up to those buildings and unload the stuff, and they don't get stuck, and they don't have to back 2 miles down your driveway because
Yeah.
there's no place to turn around. And make sure there's some kind of a rhyme and reason to the flow.
Yes.
And I mean, that would be the biggest thing. And I think that if you just figure out that, you know, I've seen a lot of these places built that if you put a round pin in, they put it ways away from the barn, which is a terrible idea because to me, you have a round pin because you have something that one, you can't
Exactly.
catch is not broke, right? So if you have him in your barn, in a stall, because you ran him in there, now how do you get him from one to the other,
Exactly.
right? Or he's wild and you put him in the round pen first.
Well,
Then he's got to
now-
live in the round pen until you at least get him out of it. But if it's close to the barn,
Get to run him back and
right,
forth.
you can kind of make it work. So I think the round pen close to the barn pays a bigger dividend than one that's 100 feet away from your barn.
Well, like I said a while ago, you need to have your colts broke to work in a round pen. Of course, you need to have them halter broke before you ever put them in the round pen, but you can demonstrate their athletic ability and just a lot of things in that round pen that you can't on a walker or
Right.
or anywhere else.
Yeah. Now, I think, right, if I was going to do it, I would probably, having learned lessons that we've learned from having all the rain that we've had in Texas here lately, and the way I set things up, I would have done it way sooner, is that I attach my round pin to the barn and then put a roof over it so I can go from the barn to the round
Yeah.
pin.
Yeah.
And then make it so that you could, if need be, back your trailer up to the round pin and unload a horse. And then you can go in between and you never have to go outside. To me, that's probably the biggest thing that would help you out, right? Because one, you can get a roof. Generally, it's easier if your barn's high enough to just come off of that roof line and at least put a little, even if it's flat or got a little slope over your round pin, where you can do something all the time. Because the inevitable is gonna happen with a round pin. It's gonna look like a fishbowl.
Yeah.
And the first time you get a hard rain, the thing is gonna be standing like a lake. And then you gotta drain it, and then if you're riding a bunch of colts or babies, then you got a problem with you don't want slipping and falling and
Oh, yeah.
getting hurt or whatever it may be. So I mean, I think that would be the biggest thing that I learned, because I mean, you could really butt that thing right up to the wall of your barn on the outside and have a 40 or 50 foot round pen with just a lean-to shed roof off of
Yeah.
it with a couple pipe, and you're going to be a business, and that will save you so much heartache over the time. I mean, like case in point, because right now we moved our round pen to the barn. so we could do it over the front. And literally, since the first of the year, it's rained every other day, or we've had 50-mile-an-hour winds. And we have trusses, and we have pipe, and we have holes that have got washed in, and I still have no roof over a round pin, and I'm no farther ahead than I was.
Yeah.
But if I had done that years ago, the few $1,000s, when I say few thousand, I mean literally few thousand, because to cover 50 foot, you don't need a big. I think we bought 50-foot trusses were like $350 pre-made, and you only need 4 or 5 of them. So for a couple grand and a couple grand of sheet metal, you can have a roof, and you can have something where you can work every day, at least doing something, because that's the biggest bang for your buck, you know. And then nice entrances in the fence, because that's gonna get you the money, right?
Yeah.
If you roll up and you know it looks like some kind of a deserted ghost town with a bunch of old cars sitting out there and your fence is all falling down and it looks unsafe, then you know it probably is.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna want to bring you stuff, and nobody's gonna stop by if you're trying to sell horses. But if you can make it look nice at the entrance, then I think people will let you get away with a little bit more stuff. And then at least if they come and look and it's rainy, you know what you can do? Go to your little covered round pen,
You bet.
and it's gonna be worth the money, because now you put in $7,000 to cover your round pen. That may make you $20,000. That
yeah.
pays for itself. The 100 by 200 is a great thing to have, but you'll never get a return on what that is. Because, I mean, on the few bad days that we generally get here, you can work in that little round pen
Yeah.
and then ride out in the sand.
Yeah.
So, any other things? I mean, again, right, it's another topic. I mean, that can be a whole show and a whole episode of things you can do and why you do what you do. And I think that's one of the good ones that we can cover with Realtor, right? Because they'll be able to tell you what makes it more valuable or not. I mean, like a swimming pool, like doesn't really add that much value to your house. It's a convenience, but it doesn't make that much difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Another bedroom is worth more than a swimming pool.
Yep.
So, you know, do you want to
And
swim?
inevitably, you have a 3-bedroom house. The people looking at it are going to want a 4-bedroom.
Right.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, when you're building, if you're in the horse biz, I mean, again, you have to think it's what I always say. If you've got 20 stalls, you need 21, right? You have a 6-horse trailer, you need a 7, right? And so you're never going to be happy with what it is. So, you know, we talked about it in the other episode. So when you improve it, keep the numbers low, make it, you know, so it's manageable, it's efficient. You know, try to make it so that, you know, if you're going to improve it, that you have something that you can sell to somebody and then upgrade from there, right? Because if you have a nice little ranchette or a barn dominium that's got a few stalls and a nice little house with it, I mean, that's worth way more to a lot of people, right? Because when you look at horse trailers, what's the most expensive trailer? Probably a 3-horse gooseneck with a weekend package in it, because anybody can pull them.
Yeah.
And they're worth way more money. You can go buy a 12-horse trainer trailer for less money than you can buy a 3-horse gooseneck with a weekend package.
I don't know about that.
I bet you can. I bet you can. Because more people can buy those.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pull a 50-foot 12-horse trailer
Well, yes.
and haul 2 horses.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
You know, so I think it's way easier to do it the other way, right? Semi probably cheaper to maintain if you're hauling a lot, doing those things, but not everybody wants to drive a semi, right? You don't want to go to McDonald's after the horse show and cruising in a semi. You know, you want to just unhook your truck and run your half-ton through the drive-through at McDonald's. So, I mean, there's pros and cons, and it's the same thing that you have to think about when you're improving your property, right? I mean, what's the biggest bang for the buck? And if you want to know for your area for sure, is call a realtor, right? Find out what's selling. I mean, they're going to tell you. I mean, this is where you spend the money.
Yeah, that's probably a really good piece of advice.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I've been working at it. Yeah. So, well, I guess that wraps up today's subject on, you know, what's the best ideas to improve your place. That was for Bob in Vermont. So we hope that helped you out, Bob. And, you know, if you got any good ideas for Bob or suggestions on the best way to get the most bang for your buck and improve your property, be sure that you leave it in the comments below. You know, if you put some pictures in there, tag us in whatever it may be with Global Horse Network, Cuss N Discuss, and maybe it's something we can build a little file and show your barn, your home and barn improvement ideas, and let us see what's going on. And I guess that's about all I have to say. So if you guys are good,
Good.
Yes, sir.
we'll pull the plug on it. So as always, for Cuss and Discuss, I'm Steve Cutie. This is Flynn Stewart and Ginger Duke, and we'll catch you next time.